an diesem niemals endenden Déjà-vu. Unsere beiden Schicksale sind in ewiger Verdammnis miteinander verbunden. Durch beide Welten. Tannhaus hat in der Ursprungswelt alles verloren, was ihm jemals etwas bedeutet hat. Sein Sohn, dessen Frau, seine Enkelin sind bei einem Autounfall gestorben. Jonas und Martha. Sie müssen ihm den Schmerz nehmen.
Ja.
Damit er niemals nach einem Weg sucht, alles rückgängig zu machen.
Tannhaus hat versucht, in eine Welt zurückzureisen, in der seine Familie noch lebt. Aber anstattdessen hat er seine Welt gespalten. Wird es eine Brücke geben zwischen allen drei Welten.
Fixed Wells' time machine. This is brilliant. You know, he created Morlocks. You've created this Winden.
Here we go.
I said the world between worlds. This is the world between worlds.
Where'd she go? Don't focus on one another.
No.
Just revealing it for you. Why would he do that?
Because it's his desire that's created this. Tan has his desire.
Wer sieht traurig aus?
Wer sieht traurig aus?
Der Junge, der da steht.
You've been a part of each other's lives since forever.
Niemand.
Jonas. Ist alles in Ordnung?
There you go.
Deine ewigen Vorträge, Big Bang, Big Crunch. Hast du Sonja mal gefragt, ob sie das überhaupt interessiert? Hast du mich all die Jahre mal gefragt, ob mich das interessiert? Was ich eigentlich will?
And there you set it in
Du hast
motion.
mir doch gesagt, die Welt da draußen wäre voller Geheimnisse. Und dass das, was wir wissen, ein Tropfen in einem unendlichen Ozean ist, ja? Wenigstens da hast du mal recht gehabt. Du weißt vielleicht alles über Einstein-Rosenbrücken und schwarze Löcher, aber über mich weißt du absolut gar nichts.
He was supposed to stop this.
Guten Morgen.
Hat immer nur nach oben geguckt, Sterne, Galaxien, beschissene Universen und mich? Mich hat er nie gesehen.
I really hope them two arriving in this third world are in the middle of the road that sends it off in the... I'm right. I'm right.
Oh, no.
Braucht ihr Hilfe?
Anything to make him stay.
Die Brücke ist gesperrt.
Komm, geht mal nach Hause.
Was wir wissen, ist ein Tropfen.
This'll do
Was wir
it.
nicht wissen, ein Ozean.
Dein Vater liebt dich.
Go home to
Er
him.
würde alles für dich tun.
Was habt ihr gerade gesagt?
Marek? Ist alles okay? Komm. Los, komm. Marek!
Weißt du was, du hast recht.
You got through. Let's go tomorrow.
Morgen fahren. Ihr seid zurück?
Die Brücke ist gesperrt. Dein Sohn denkt, er hat ein paar Engel gesehen.
Mach dich nicht lustig.
Oh, go on.
Ich weiß auch nicht. Ich hatte nur plötzlich so ein...
Horrible feeling.
So ein Gefühl.
Yeah.
Magst du? Charlotte hat dich auch schon vermisst.
Good that we know that's the name.
Hilf Marek.
Glaubst du, dass irgendetwas von uns bleibt? Das ist das, was wir dann sind. Ein Traum. Es hat uns nie wirklich gegeben.
There you are. You're starting to not exist. Coming apart molecule by molecule. It worked.
Yeah.
Wir passen perfekt zusammen.
Wow.
Ich glaube nie etwas anderes.
I see trees of green. What a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
It was worth it.
What?
Und jetzt stoßen wir auf Regina.
Unbedingt.
Yeah, no, they still existed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Und danke für die Einladung.
Just seeing who's here.
Auf dich.
Yeah.
Hey, Pauke. Das sieht viel besser aus.
Du hast uns nie erzählt, was da eigentlich genau passiert ist.
No, you didn't.
Ja, hast du es auch
Ever.
Erzähl mal, Torben.
Komm, erzähl.
Komm, erzähl. Letzten Sommer ist...
Scheiße, hab ich mich erschreckt.
Hey, ist alles okay?
Right, you lit those quick.
Der hat ein Déjà-vu oder sowas. Vielleicht sind das die Hormone.
Pregnant.
Wenn die Welt heute untergeht und ihr hättet einen Wunsch frei, was würdet ihr euch wünschen?
Eine Welt ohne Winden. Darauf stoßen wir an. Eine Welt ohne Winden. Eine Welt ohne Winden. Ah.
The Eye!
Hast du schon einen Namen?
Don't.
Ich weiß nicht. Ich glaube, ich finde Jonas einen schönen Namen.
Because women pick their names out for their babies. That wouldn't change. So I still don't understand what happened to his eye.
Okay, guys, that was Dark. Season 3. Final episode. Series finale. And wow.
Yeah.
Absolute wow. What a phenomenal ride this has been. I have enjoyed every minute of it. Even though, probably the same as most people, I've spent 70% of it confused.
Going, huh?
Going, huh? What? Eh? I don't understand that. Why? What? Yeah, you know what I mean. So, this literally is down to one man and the hubris of unable to accept something he's lost in his life, and it is usually family that does this. It's usually a daughter or a wife, or that's what all this series has been about. But you mentioned,
Yeah.
was it the last episode or the episode before? I wonder if there's a third world, because like the Triquetra, that completes the. You were spot on.
Yeah.
You were spot on.
I wondered if like I say, my entire theory throughout has been in action, that everything that you've tried to do has caused all of this to happen.
And just doesn't work.
And it just doesn't work. So there has to be an unknown factor that we haven't realised yet that has nothing to do with everything that's gone on. And the fact that I think the news report that we got when they were talking about what happened in Windon and the time standing still, and I'm like, what? You know, if an apocalyptic event happened, and it's not an apocalyptic event in the sense that the world ends, because it doesn't, because they still continue to be there afterwards
and live afterwards.
why are there no other nations getting involved in this. I know Chernobyl happened and no one else got involved, but that's because it's Russia and they won't let anyone in.
And it was communist Russia back then. But I get your point. You would have every major nation on the planet descend
trying to figure
on
out.
this small town trying to figure out, 1, what happened, 2, how it happened, and 3, how a nuclear power plant has managed to create a particle that shouldn't exist.
Yeah. That everyone would be involved in that, you know. Higgs boson, the CERN super collider. The whole point of it is to try and make this particle. If they turned around and went, "Hey, guess what? We've done it," everyone would be there. You know, world press and everything would be there. So I was always thinking that this was sort of
something missing,
like a microcosm that doesn't affect the rest of the world because no one else ever gets involved. It's only the players of Winden that we knew, and now I know why. Is because the 2 worlds that came into being were formed from this. And in his, not only does he make 2 worlds that are locked into each other in this horrible duality, but he destroys our world at the same time.
Yeah. All for the loss of his family. And it only started to make that episode, actually, within the first 10-15 minutes of Claudia giving the explanation as to where the origin really is and that it's the 3rd world, that episode started to make far more sense in your head as you were watching it than any other episode.
Yeah.
At that point, it slotted in. There was a missing piece and it gave it us. And like I say, you pretty much figured it out before it actually happened. But basically, this guy, by creating that machine, has created 2 micro worlds that are opposites of each other that just simply shouldn't exist. And the way in which they went around explaining that's what this guy's done was the most complicated, well written, well acted, well shot piece of cinematography I've ever seen, because you could have just shown him doing that at the beginning at episode 1 of the 1st episode and show what got created because of it and stopped all the confusion. But it was done reverse way round purposely to lead you all to not knowing what the hell's going on and how things can be for a reason, and they did it so well. They knew there was a beginning and there was an end, and the end needs to be where the beginning is. That was the loop, because like you said, there's so many things that there were multiple paradoxes in these worlds that simply shouldn't be in the real world. You can't be your own daughter and your own mother at the same time, even with time travel. It's an impossibility. All the theories out there, Einstein, everyone else, is like that a paradox would simply, they don't know whether it would just create would destroy the world, or whether it would be the whole solar system, or whether it would just be localized that way, or whether it would be the whole universe, because it simply cannot be. No. And that's what I was always never getting my head round with the show. Is
I know you.
How can half of these things possibly exist? They don't make sense. The show was giving us perfectly reasonable explanations showing how this came to be. A leads to B, leads to C, and back to A, like with Charlotte and Elizabeth.
That's where my theory solidified.
And that's where my brain started to go, you can't be the same at the same time. I can't be my own son and my own father at the same time. It's impossible. Yeah. So this 3rd final piece was beautifully done. It was explained more or less fully. I'm not sure there's an awful lot they left. There's a few little bits and pieces they left out, but they were left to, well, we didn't need to tell you that. Don't need to show you that, because that was part of these micro worlds that was created where anything's possible anyway.
Yeah, and it's a little consequence now, seeing as it no longer exists.
Like what you wanted to know about Adam, about the machine with the, it never explained it, but it doesn't need to.
No, because it doesn't need to. It does what it does. I mean, I figured it out when the machine in the last episode, when you see Tannhaus's machine, and then you see the machine that they were using, those little prototypes, and I'm like, now that's the exact same machine. And you've never explained where these little prototypes came from.
And
you've just gone, oh well, no, we have them in Ava's world, and I'm like, says who? And you can move through space and time. So she knows what space and time is, which means that it is modelled off of that little that big machine to begin with. And I like this because it's given you the resolution that you didn't get with H.G. Wells' Time Machine. You know, with the Morlocks coming into being, and they're like, the only reason we exist is because you built that damn machine. And you built that damn machine to save the one person who prompted you to build the damn machine in the first place.
So
it's a paradox. It cannot be.
Yeah.
You can't have it.
This is the problem infinitely with time travel.
Yes.
But, you know, like the book in this show was never actually, it also didn't have an origin point. It was never written by anyone. It just came to be because it's his.
Because it's
his book.
Our world.
It's from the origin world. It's from the real world. In effect, those two worlds, they were real to them, but it was two worlds of Wyndon, basically.
Yes.
We were meant to believe there was a world outside it, but you see in the show right from the beginning, they're going, why is it no one ever leaves Wyndon? Even the detective who comes into it in season 2 goes, I've looked up the history of this town. No one ever leaves here, and no one ever moves here. Don't you think that's a bit weird?
Yeah.
Yes, that's impossible. Now we know why.
Yeah, because you aren't meant to be. Everything that happened, like your lives are too intertwined with everything that happened. You know, the fact that everyone ends up related to each other. It's because there's only a core group of you that seem to be, you know, big players in this town. No one else comes in. No one else wanders into town and goes, you know what? I've messed my life up where I came from. I picked out a place on a map. Wyndon, here it is.
I'm just going to go to some small little town where no one knows me.
Nothing like that happened. No one looked outside of the world to see anything else. It was just Wyndon.
Yeah. I have to say, that show is up there with all my favourite shows of all time. It's up there with Battlestar, Fringe, Lost, Travellers. There's quite a few. There's X-Files. There's a lot of shows that get something infinitely right from the off.
Yeah.
And keep you hooked throughout. And that show is one of them. I will certainly be going back through that. Now I know who's related to whose name's whose daughter, son, mother, father, uncle, granddad. It will probably make an awful lot more of sense the second time I go through it.
Yeah, because you'll know where it's headed with stuff.
And I bet I'm not on my own on that. I bet there are a lot of people that like this show, that have loved this show, that have seen it through its entirety, have gone, yeah, I need to watch that again. And probably fairly recently or fairly soon after seeing the finale, while it's still all fresh in your mind, rather than leaving it a year, coming back to it all, and it's like you've just wiped your own memory and you've got to start again.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love that show. The acting in this show, and I've mentioned it before, the pregnant pauses that they put in it for the darkness and the awkwardness of how everything was in this world was done beautifully. The score was gorgeous.
It was shot really well. I mean, like, for me, the pause is the equivalency of you figuring out your next thing, your next move. Like you get, as you know, everyday life, you don't have all the answers. The reason that TV and movies work so well is because it's a script. It's because you know exactly what you're supposed to say because you're a character. And it made it feel realistic with people going...
It made it look like they didn't know what their next line was.
Yeah.
Like they've ad-libbed it and they've gone... And that you can see in their brain when someone asks you a question you don't know the answer to, or they ask you a question that you know you need to lie to, like most of them have done in this, lying for their own purposes, your brain is going tick-tock while you're thinking of the answer, pretty much, and trying to not leave too much of a pause for it to be obvious. But it was shot beautifully, and there are so many firsts that this show has done that I see further down the line other shows picking up on.
Oh, there'll be a very watered down version make its way to Hollywood because this is too good to not, but it will not be this complicated.
The character choices, the cast choices for this show was off the charts. No other show I can think of has even come close, like we've always mentioned. All shows take shortcuts where they can to save money or to make it easy for the viewer. And they use prosthetics for making people older or making people younger, or airbrushing people if they need to make them look 20 years younger.
Yeah.
This show didn't do that. It just said, that's that person at this age, that's them at this age, that's them at this age, and it's 3 different actors. And it was done fabulously.
It needed to be with how much interaction you have with your older and younger self. It would have looked...
It would have cost a fortune to just do all the green screen, actually, if you think about it. If you had to have had every one of those actors just wear wigs and prosthetics when talking to another version of themselves, think how much they would have spent on special effects. So because they haven't had to spend on that, the special effects that they had to show in the show were top notch.
Yeah.
They looked really good. They didn't look cheap, they didn't look nasty, they didn't look like an afterthought or, well, just do what you can because we're running our budget, you know?
Yeah, even the end part, that was like a poor man's Matrix. It was meant to remind you, because they've always said we're a glitch in the Matrix, it was that variation, but done with blue because that's been the colour throughout.
I like that they put that in, we are the glitch in the Matrix, because that came out of its mouth right at the beginning where they didn't it?
They were never meant to be, you are a mistake. And the reason you're linked is because you're a mistake.
Could you imagine trying to read the book on this series? Could you? I don't even think it'd be possible to put that into a novel and not confuse most people to not probably turn the page after about the first 10 pages to go, this is nonsense, this doesn't make any sense. It needed to be for television because I'm not sure you could tell that story without visual representation.
I think you could, but I think it was done beautifully. I
think you'd have to be on a higher intelligence level to get it.
It was done beautifully. It didn't need to be done in a book. I mean, if someone wants to, I don't know if there's a book version of it that exists already, or
maybe there is. I don't know. I haven't looked.
But it's fantastic, and it is something that would be really, really good. These are the people. Dark writers, producers, everyone that worked on it. Could you please contact Stephen King and get started with Dark Tower, because y'all will be able to figure it out, okay? I've been campaigning for ages.
She has been asking and praying and begging and using all her wishes that someone will come along and take Stephen King's
Dark Tower,
the Dark Tower books
into a TV
and turn
series.
it into a TV series, but don't do what not every TV series has ever done with Stephen King novels, and do it on a tight budget with actors that we don't know and you don't really care.
And you throw away half the script and you're like, I'll just write it.
Give it to these guys.
Yeah, please.
Give it to these guys. We don't care. We don't care if it's in German. Give it to these guys.
Yeah, I'll watch it in German. I'm cool.
I'll watch it in double Dutch. These guys have absolutely nailed how to write a television series and to keep that viewer wanting more all the time, whilst at the same time confusing them so completely, yet knowing they won't lose the viewer because they need an explanation.
Yeah, you've kept us hooked throughout.
But they've given it you. So many shows, the writers move away or they change around and they leave open-ended questions and go, oh, well, that was up for you to decide. That's a lazy-ass way of writing.
Yeah.
That is a lazy-ass way of writing. Oh, well, it's up to the viewer to decide. No, give me a solution. It's your story. Tell it.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. I don't
It's like when you go to a concert and they throw the mic in the microphone and go, you sing it. You're like, no, you sing it. I've paid $40 to see you. You sing the damn track. You know, right, anyway, I don't want to waffle on too long, otherwise we're going to make this video extremely long for YouTube. But if any of you are thinking of rewatching this show, I suggest you go and do it, because I'm going to do the same. I'm going to recommend this to every friend or family member that I can that I think will get it, that I think will understand it. I'm not sure you can recommend this to basically anybody, even your average Netflix binger, because all you need is someone to be the type of person who's messing around with the dog or playing on their phone or putting the kettle on and doesn't pause it and just lets it keep playing, isn't going to have a clue what's going on.
Yeah,
you can't just half watch this.
You've got to, it's the kind of show you've got to give it 2 or 3 episodes, and if you're not hooked, walk away.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same with The Witcher when that came out. I know you've not seen it. When The Witcher came out, you know, it took me 3 episodes to figure out, oh, multiple timelines, this is why this isn't making any sense to me. But there was a lot of people who came out of The Witcher at the other end going, what?
The one snippet that they've purposely done in this show throughout was we never get to find out his story as to what happened with his eye.
I like that though.
And I like that they've done that, because it's basically saying, but it's some silly story that has nothing to do with the actual storyline or what's happened to him because of one of the characters in one of these worlds. So we're just not going to tell it. It's going to be a little anecdote. It's going to be a little Easter egg that you never actually are able to crack open.
You never get things. Just like in Scrubs, we never actually knew what the janitor's name was. He was just the janitor.
Yeah. They obviously had that idea from day one, clearly. And it was nice at the end that they showed the origin world, the real world, whatever you want to call it. Now, obviously, all these people do still exist, but they've got vastly different lives. Possibly just as complex lives, but not quite as dark, you know? And that little speech that Hannah gave at the end there probably put everyone on a downer at the dinner party, because that was rather deep, but that was for us. That wasn't for them. That was for us. And them just fading away out of existence was done beautifully. It was tasteful. It didn't look hammy, and I was at one point wondering what's going on here, why they still here. They just gave it a bit of a delayed reaction for basically Marta and Jonas to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Right, I think that will do.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed this series with the two of us reacting to this, guys. There's probably not going to be any more duo reactions because you are studying at the moment, aren't you?
Yes.
She's learning to become a coder, which is above my level. So your time is going to be taken up quite a lot with that now. So we had the opportunity to be able to do a reaction to one show while you have the summer off, and that we didn't know was coming, COVID.
Yeah.
So that gave more time to be able to do things because everything shut down. But it's just going to be back probably to my reactions after this. So I hope you enjoyed this one-off of both of us reacting to a show, and it was something that was absolutely well worth it. Really enjoyed it. So if you've got any comments, guys, or you want to add anything, doesn't matter about spoilers now, tell me anything you want, any of your theories or where you think things should have been done differently, or anything like that. And you can always go and join the GreyWolf Pack Discord. You can go over there and discuss the show in detail over there. There's a specific channel for Dark if you want to talk about it over there. Don't forget to post your comments down below, and I think that's pretty much it.
It has been a pleasure entertaining you all. Please take care of yourselves.
And don't forget to subscribe, and I will be back for the next show very soon. Till then, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you really enjoyed it and you enjoyed the video and the series. Take care.
Goodbye.